Like they said, we claim we are fast because we are fast, right? And I don't know about security. Probably can be fast. Probably it's better not to be fast.
It is not to know. So when I do the new products, the very first thing that comes to my mind is backward compatibility. And I talked about it and I'll keep talking about it because that's the
right,
backbone.
backward. Yeah,
Exactly. The
right,
backward
right.
compatibility is absolutely the number one thing is that you can add more stuff without changing or without breaking how it used to work in the previous versions or whatsoever.
Lineage.
Correct. So I need to
Okay,
continue that
that's
lineage.
like the
Yes, that is the
right.
core.
So how do you test and know that the product you deliver is actually giving people the trust and feeling that they want it? You know, how much is enough? Like, how do you test this? Like, how do you test the sense of trust? Like, this is $1 million question. Like, if I can,
Absolutely.
if we manufacture this is fascinating.
Understand the pain points from customers. I create an idea out of it, present it to the regulatory bodies, get their feedback, make sure that it is okay. The way I'm thinking of it, I go back to the customers, I propose a solution, customer gives me an okay, then I put it into the product.
Welcome to US Story. I'm your host, Lihong Hicken. I've spent my career obsessed with how we understand what users actually think. When Chris and I helped scale user testing from zero to IPO, we thought we had it figured out. But AI has changed everything. The speed of building is now 10 times faster than the speed of listening. So Chris and I built Dayset. We want to use vibe user testing to match the speed of vibe coding. I'm here to talk to visionary leaders who want to deliver great experiences to their customers. My guest today is Manish Upasani, Head of Product Management and Strategy at Utimaco. Manish is a veteran of cybersecurity world, having spent years in HP and HPE driving data security and payment technology. And now you are leading strategy for products that provide the high trust foundation for the global digital economy. So, Manish, I am an obsessive learner of people, but you deal with the invisible UX, like the encryptions and the security that user never sees until it fails, right? Until it fails, then it's all your fault. Too much
You
pressure
just
on
said it
you.
very well.
Yeah. So in a world where trust is the most important part of the experience, and what is the vibe of the security? How do you know when a product feels safe to a customer?
That's a great question. And well, before I get into the weights there, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I'm looking forward for this conversation here. You touched on a very important aspect, trust, to be called. That's exactly where I personally plug in myself into. When you talk about precisely payments, if I may touch base on that, when you talk about payments, what you talk about is the experience that I walk in wherever, ATM, point of sale terminal, whatever. I tap in my card, I tap in my phone, and everything just works. Nobody ever thinks about what happens in the back end. And what what we expertise here is to create that exact same experience for the user without letting the user worry about all the different mechanics of what is happening in the back end, how many players are involved, and so on, and building that trust in a dynamic space. And it is one of the most important aspect of it at the same time is how do you create trust in an ecosystem that is ever changing? And at the same time, give that sense of security because a thought never probably enters nobody's brain that, hey, I'm traveling blah country and then will my card work here? Will I be able to pay using my existing credit cards that we use domestically? And so on. That's exactly where we plug in ourselves. And the most important aspect of it is creating that trust in a hidden UI UX experience because you haven't seen encryption, cryptography, and so on working in action because there is no UI into it. It's all about the maths. And when we talk about AI, which you brought it into the equation as well, AI is all about mathematics again, and so is payment. So it kind of comes together, or encryption for that matter. It's all about mathematics yet again. The only difference is in cryptography, we talk about definite results. Our KI is more so about prediction and probabilities and statistical analysis and so on. So that's where I see a slight difference in how we deal with it.
That's awesome. Very good high-level explanation of
Mhm.
the delicacy of product you and trust you're building. But in simple words for our audience to know, what is the
Sure.
product you are building and what is the target audience
Mhm.
that who's using your product? Because sometimes it could be a physical product, but maybe the
Mhm.
real product is not physical product, it's actually the security or the data,
Right.
right? So in your
Absolutely.
mind, what is your real product that you're building?
The real product is giving that sense of assurance to the society. And my direct customers I deal with tomorrow is all the major card brands. We talk about every single one of them. When you open your wallet and you see a logo on your credit card, your debit card, the various banks, and so on. I do deal with them, and those are my direct customers. So it's more of a B2B ecosystem for whatever it is worth. But these card logos or these banks, they again use my product to provide that sense of security to their customers so that they can
Mm.
get through it in a nutshell. The products that we talk about is called hardware security modules. It's the hardware. It's something that sits a core inside the user beta cell, the banks and credit card, debit card data centers and provides services from there, or be it the PKI backbones of an organization from where the trust starts. We talk about how do I say it the best? These certificates and stuff that you see that protects the internet
Mhm.
that probably gives you that sense of security that I'm talking to blah bank or I'm talking to blah website, and how do I know that I'm talking to it? And all of the PKI, the public key cryptography as we know it. Now, public key infrastructure that bakes into it starts from the same thing yet again. And last but not the least is all of this comes around key management, because when we talk about encryption, and this is the same thing that we use internally as well, is encryption is power. Encryption is important, but key management is the key. Even think of it as a simple example of your front door. What you do is you lock the front door, translate to encrypt your data, and then what do you do with the key? You don't keep the key around hanging that anybody can come
Yeah.
in and unlock the door. And if you are, then why are you even locking the door? What you do is you take that key, keep it in your pocket, and walk away with it. It's the same approach that we follow here as well to manage those keys in a secure fashion, wherein your take is encrypted somewhere, and then your keys are kept secure. If that helps you paint an
That's
overall picture.
Yeah, that's great. So you have some kind of B2B element and
Absolutely.
B2C element as
Hmm.
well, because it's two layers of a target audience. I can
Hmm.
see here is like if your product is the sense of security, I think that for B2B audience, the sense of security can be acquired through different kind of certifications
Hmm.
and license, right?
Yes,
But for B2C audience, they probably want the sense of the security and trust
absolutely.
is more
Hmm.
kind of a feeling. So how do you test and know that the product you deliver is actually giving people the trust and feeling that they want it? You know, how much is enough? And it's like this is a part I'm obsessed. Like, how do you test this? Like, how do you test the sense of trust? Like, this is $1 million question. Like, if I can
Absolutely.
if we manufacture this is fascinating.
Yes, and I do belong to that manufacturing aspects of it. And the hardware security modules, the key management ecosystems, orchestrations that I'm talking about, these things, although they don't directly expose themselves to the end user, the B2C aspect of it, but what they expose when they expose themselves is in the form of that trust, which the credit card logos or the banks then use to assure their users. There are various compliances that are in the spectrum, likes of the PCI or FIT7, which is a Federal Information Processing Standard of the payment card industry, and so on. These entities do provide that letter of attestation that we have tested these things on your behalf, because it is practically not possible for everybody to test these things, because again the knowledge, the skill set that is needed in the space of encryption, cryptography, and so on is kind of vital and not generally available or explored by the industry. So that comes up pretty handy when we testing these things. Apart from that, I would Answering your question, common funny question is there is no such thing called enough testing. You got to test, and it's more or less a circle. And then you define when you want to get out of that circle. When you feel confident enough, and when you feel confident enough, then you basically get out of the circle and start running on a tangent. Until then, we are just in that same ecosystem. And what helps me in this case is some of the testing, some of the security testing, my CI/CD pipelines, and so on, which do have all of these aspects baked into it. Is I have products that are carrying over generations. I mean, some of the products are older than me, obviously coming through various
Oh, telling
generations.
you. Oh my goodness.
And those products are coming through various generations. And with that products coming through all of those generations, yeah, it is important for me to maintain backward compatibility, because imagine I release a new, and then that changes the functionality, the payment rails, the backbone of the trust will be broken, and nobody wants to touch those ecosystems as well. So I try to maintain that backward compatibility, so that carries all the efforts that I've been doing since day one of the products, bakes into the my testing framework. And then there is
So
always new things. Yeah,
to do that, I want to draw away from like the very technical side and bring more to
absolutely.
more the human side. So let's say, can you share a story where like certain security solution was architecturally perfect, like solution solid, but
Hmm.
failed because some human
Oh,
behavior, like we are
absolutely.
not perfect.
I don't know if it will be human behavior element, but it could very well be a human behavior element. I still remember this very vividly. And again, payments. So I'll give you a horror story here. This was the Black Friday rush time, and that is basically the time when payment infrastructure is on its toes. We design our payment infrastructures to be able to take and carry the same load for the Black Friday. This was pre-COVID, so whenever a 2018-ish timeframe. At that time, obviously online shopping and everything was there, but there was still a thing where you have the doorbusters and stuff where people wanted to walk inside this store and graph things. And obviously, I was also part of that crowd. And me and my wife are shopping in this superstore, who happens to be on, I'll protect the names here. But we were shopping in this superstore, and I knew that they are my customers using my assets to process their payments. And then it's typical that there are long queues on a Black Friday event where people are buying stuff and then wanted to pay, for it, where the bottleneck comes in. And then I realized that the queue was unusually long. And my wife was like, you know what, go ahead and stand in the queue while I complete our shopping so that we get out of this, so that we can go somewhere else as well. And I saw that the queue was unusually long, and I realized that the cashier at the queue was manually recording the credit card numbers. And I went in and asked, like, hey, what happened? They said, unfortunately, our entire payment rails are down. And I was like, oh
Oh
my God.
no.
I looked at my cell phone, and due to whatever bad reception or whatever, I had like 40 missed calls from all over the organization that we have a situation with this brand and their HSMs survendium. I obviously then ran out of the store and got into the weeds to realize that they wanted the whatever HSMs failed for whatever reasons. They wanted to fail over to their DR, and because of a human element baked in there, the DR never came up. So they experienced the moment their store's door opened, the payment infrastructure was down for a good 3 hours until it was restored. So you can imagine the impact these tiny pieces of
Oh my
hardware
goodness.
can cause on. So I don't know how good or bad the experience was, but after that, I make sure that I'm glued to my phone and never ever walk away from anywhere during those peak business times.
Wow. Is that a human error?
It is both. It was a machine error and it was a human error as well, because of the DR
Cause it.
failed, and that exactly was the result of a human error element.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a
It is
costly
graphic, right?
mistake. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty painful graphic. Well, so
Yes.
other product leaders that I have talked to, they
Hmm.
follow this rigid, well, not rigid, like a religiously way of building product is like you have a hypothesis
Uh-huh.
and you don't know which product you build the people will like. Like you can only make decision with as much information you have to build for
Absolutely.
the right people for the right solution. But you can never 100% sure. Like honestly, no one can be 100% sure. So they use
It's a
data,
gut
like
feeling. Hmm.
interview a lot of customers, do survey, they do usability testing, like record videos of people
Hmm. Hmm.
using the prototype before. Ideally, you do this before the product is really launched,
Indeed.
before you deploy lots of bad product. So like that's kind of the way how people do it. Unfortunately, the way to get the feedback is slow, but the speed of building is very fast. And then I feel like there's a common trend about security and usability testing is a vibe coding. People hate both of us because it's slow.
It is slow, yes.
Right? It's slow because we stop until like AI usability testing, like they said, we claim we are
Mhm.
fast because we are fast, right? And I don't know about security. Probably can be fast. Probably it's better not to be fast.
It is not to know. So when I do the new products, the very first thing that comes to my mind is backward compatibility. And I talked about it and I'll keep talking about it because that is
Oh,
the
right.
backbone.
Backward. Yeah.
Exactly. The
Right.
backward
Right.
compatibility is absolutely the number one thing is you can add more stuff without changing or without breaking how it used to work in the previous
The
versions or whatsoever.
lineage.
Correct. So I need to
Okay,
continue that for
that's like the
lineage. Yes. That is the
right.
core.
So
And
so when you build your products, backward compatibility is most important. But do you
Mhm.
follow this kind of testing, validating idea like the traditional product builders,
Absolutely.
or you guys build you do that as
I
well?
do that, yes. So again, the
Oh.
industry that I deal with, again, security, right? In this case,
Mm.
people are typically afraid of changes. They do not like changes for obvious reasons because change translates to more testing, change translates to the fear of unknowns and everything else. So typically
Mm.
customers do not like the change. And that's why I keep emphasize on the backward compatibility. And because of that resistance to change, the newer features are added by validating those features with the customers, with the users, that whenever even I forget about the new product, we talk about our existing product roadmap. It's the same story again that I'm trying to add blah feature. Let me go ahead and get that validated with my existing customers, get a feedback not only from the customers, but also from the regulatory bodies as well, because I cannot simply think of I had an idea, let's bring it into the product. And no, I have quite a lot of checks and balances that I need to think through prior to pulling in something new.
Wait, you had to get feedback from the regulatory people as well? How do you get
Absolutely.
feedback from those people?
We have labs who do that for a living. And then we are constantly talking to the labs like, hey, there's a new feature. This is what I'm trying to bring in. You put on your regulatory hats and see how they will see it there. Who helps us with that decision making? Because once I add anything on the product, what I need to do is I need to get it certified. Unless and until I get it certified, my customers ain't gonna touch it. So it's
You know
a lot of
what?
friction.
You know what? This job, like the job with the person who gets feedback from the regulatory person, remind me of my kid who's
See.
try to get feedback from the parents. Can I do this, mom? Can I do this,
Yes,
dad? Eh,
absolutely. You nailed it. That's how I feel at times that even though I have ideas that could probably change things, like I was working on recently, cloudifying some of the products that I have. And then it's not that straightforward, even though I can design and invent a technology that will help me to cloudify my products. Nobody's going to touch it until I get it approved through the regulatory bodies. And then if I go too light to the regulatory bodies, they're like, what we have you brought on my table? This doesn't work. Then all of your work is like
Oh,
useless.
you open my eye to this new world, Manish. Okay, okay. So in
Welcome to the
terms of
world of security.
okay, in terms of percentage, do you get more feedback from the customers or more feedback from the regulatory people? Or
It
50
is
50?
50-50. I
Okay. And
understand
then
the pain points from customers. I create an idea out of it, present it to the regulatory bodies, get their feedback, make sure that it is okay. The way I'm thinking of it, I go back to the customers, I propose a solution, customer gives me an okay, then I put it into the product.
Okay, I see. Wow, this is fascinating. Okay, how do you get feedback from the regulatory and customer? Are they different? Like, do you do interviews and
Yes.
unmoderated testing with the customers, and then maybe for regulatory, you do a special kind of feedback gathering?
Yeah, it is. So for customers, it is all about interviews. It's about the QBRs. It's about talking to them and getting the insights on what are the problem statements, what exactly is it a new regulation? Is it a new payment standard? Is it a new security standard? Like stuff you might have, what about quantum computers and so on? So that's another thing which is revolutionizing the industry as it stands. And that helps me to understand the problem statement. Once I understand the
Uh-huh.
problem statement, then the next step is me in my own mind, along with obviously the engineering teams internally, to create a solution. Once I have a solution, I take it to the regulatory labs who put
Uh-huh.
on those hats and then tell me that Manish, yes, you're on the right track, or no, stop this, what are you smoking? And put me back on the right track. And once I get on the right track and have a skeleton, I go back to the customers, revalidate that, okay, you talked to me about blah problem. This is how I think I'm going to fix it. Is that going to fix your problem? Because this is the best I can do from an compliance perspective. And once I get that attestation, then only that feature, that particular thing gets released into the engineering. The engineering team works on it. The QA team tests it from various aspects of it. The better the functional testing, the user testing, usability test, sense, everything, and then get it attested by the regulatory bodies, and then finally releasing it to the customers. So you can see this is a long delivery cycles. It is a mammoth and it
Wow.
moves slow.
Wow. Okay. But this is fascinating. It is
It is
fascinating.
tiring
So
and fascinating.
it is. So you guys don't do any testing like we did 13 years ago with usertesting.com.
No, we do not do any unmoderated testing because that comes back and bites us later. Should we leave it to unmoderated? So every single thing in this space is moderated and close the observed at the same time.
Wow. Okay. But then the scheduling time and do
It is
everything
slow. It
documented,
takes, yes,
recorded.
yes.
It is taking analyzing the videos, watch the
Hmm.
videos take
Yes,
forever. Oh my
yes.
goodness.
Create demos because
Okay.
not every single thing from a customer perspective as well, that they're willing to simply load it in their production. So yeah, after my testing, the customer tests it as well. This is where a lot
Uh-huh.
of user enablement and so on comes into the picture.
Also, like a lot of security companies are having a filtered glasses to AI products. It's like, how can I trust an AI to
Hmm.
analyze it? Unless this AI is on premises and totally locking
Sure.
into your lab,
Uh-huh.
maybe that's okay,
And
right?
that's where we
Actually,
are.
go
Good,
ahead.
good. No, I'm just saying that when I do AI, when I think AI, that's exactly how I do it. Is it is air gapped from the internet. You asked me to go and use, I don't know, the various AI providers. Again, the doc naming thing names here. No, I'm not using them. What I do is wherever I'm using AI, and there are two aspects, maybe three aspects of it, three dimensions of it. Number one is using AI to improve my internal efficiencies. And that's exactly where we are talking about air gapping it and keeping it separate from the internet for whatever it is world. Number two is using the same technologies that we have in protecting the AI workloads, because not everybody will be capable, interested in running everything on prem. There are customers who are running AI workloads in various service provider environments. And how do we leverage the technologies? Again, encryption comes to your rescue, cryptography, and so on, to protect those AI workloads running in an untrusted environment so that you keep case to the kingdom while still running your workloads in the service provider environments. So that's another segment or another dimension of it that we are constantly getting into as it stands.
In your mind, like for
Mhm.
organization like yours to accept an AI usability testing tool, what kind of benefit would you have to see in order to even consider something like this?
Good question. And I have been thinking about it lately as well, because when I said that I want to use AI to increase my internal efficiencies, but what is missing as it stands is these AI models being able to speak the crypto language that we speak. I mean, these guys are loading, reading the manuals faster than we are writing it, but still, and then again, these are some niche skills, and where I feel some of these things are certainly going to help us is in the field of cryptanalysis and so on, so that it will be helpful to find any security holes or otherwise in the product, because my customers at times will be okay accepting a functionality deficit compared to a security situation in the product. Because if I'm positioning myself as a security backbone, as a trust backbone, I cannot have any security vulnerabilities or security issues within the product. And this is something that I do feel is missing. And to be able to consider something, number one is air gapped, so that I'm not sharing my intel with somebody else or getting intel from somebody else, leading to data poisoning or hallucinations and those kind of things. And at the same time, being able to train these assets on the specialized language that we speak in our vault is something that will be of most important.
That's great. So 2 wish lists, super secure, airtight.
Yes,
Number
absolutely.
2 is yeah, of course. That's what I thought. Number 2 is like it need to be trained quickly to become an industry expert. To
Yeah,
me,
and in the
quickly
newer
to
language
become
that
a
we speak.
coworker. Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. That's it too?
Those are the two wish lists, yes. Well, because I think apart from that, these tools are capable of doing a lot of things as it stands, but they are still, I personally haven't been able to find something that is capable of doing these two things.
Okay. I would say our tool can do one of the two. It's not airtight yet. I
There
will
is room
talk
for
to our
improvement then.
I will talk to our CTO to see if we can figure out a on-premises version of that. That's totally on the roadmap, and then it's probably like just download a version, give it to you
Exactly.
to play, and then that's actually pretty easy. Like a lot of technology that allow you to do it. So our product as it is out of box already can do it, and you just need to download it. And I think a lot of tool can wrap it in an airtight environment.
Absolutely.
You're good to go. Cool. That's
Absolutely.
awesome. This is amazing. So for anyone who are in the space of building products and maybe thinking about going to industry like yours, is like security, tough nut, do you have any best advice for them? Do you recommend them going to this industry or not recommend going to this industry? Any best advice for them? Because people
It's a
now are freaking
niche.
out.
It's a niche. It's a niche. And as long as you're happy with that niche, yeah, it's a fascinating world. It is easier for me to explain it to my kids that what is it that you do? I tell them that when you walk into the store and you giving you a credit card, everything after that is what I do. So it's an interesting space. Should you want to walk into this particular one, it is high stakes at the table, so you will not be able to have any kind of leniency, any kind of what's the right word? Not leaving any stones unturned. You have to be always on your toes in this space. So yeah, welcome. We do need more people in this, because it was a good idea that our payment backbones, our trust as we know it on the internet and so on, is secure. Not a lot of people do speak this language. So I do welcome people to come in, but just so that they're aware what they're entering into. It is once in,
Cool.
you love it, and then you never leave.
Oh, you speak very highly about this. Would you recommend your
do.
kids to choose this career?
I want my kids to be not techies, to be honest with you. I want them to explore something different, because AI is coming for the exact same tech wall more than anything else. So I want them to learn some more people skills and life skills. But yeah, sure, I wouldn't be completely demotivating them from coming into this space, but obviously coming in with some different ideas. One thing that is missing in this space is innovation. I mean, when was the last time you saw any innovation happening on the payment space? It's the same boring stuff. You prove your identity using your credit card or your cell phone or whatever, and then after that, everything remains the same. And on a security perspective, it is the same security principles that are being used in various different ways. So, yeah, I would welcome them into this field, but also expect them to be innovative in the space, which is kind of missing right now.
Yeah. But what do you feel, last question, what do you feel
Praise.
like the most fulfilling part about your job?
My PHI, my PII, my PFI stays secure, and my name doesn't come out in any of these advisory ecosystems. So that's the most fulfilling aspect of it. I mean, jokes aside, yeah, it feels great that we are protecting the backbone, all those things completely invisible from the industry, completely invisible from anybody, nor anything for that matter. People don't think about this unless and until something goes south. And that's the best part of it. The philosophy that we use is do it once, do it right, forget it forever.
That's awesome. That's a great experience you created for your customers. So, Manish, thank you for showing us that trust is
Absolutely.
ultimate user experience. For those who are listening, if you're ready to start Vibe user testing for your products, even the most secure ones, visit us at base.io. I'm Lihong Hicken, and this is UX Stories. I will see you in the next episode.
Thank you very much.
Great.